Hey everybody, I'm Kim Coleman. I'm a co-founder here at Paid Memberships Pro. And today Travis and I are going to talk about what is customer success and talk about some new initiatives that Travis has been trying in our team related to customer success. So hi Travis, thanks for joining me today.
Hey Kim, it's nice to be on the flip side of one of these talks. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
I'll be the bus driver and you can be the rider today.
Yeah.
So cool. So Travis recently started doing more outreach, talking to customers directly. It wasn't something we've done in the past 10 years of running Paid Memberships Pro. It's funny to start it at this point, but I think it's necessary and we're seeing some cool results. So we've been doing it for how long, Travis?
So we were talking about it, I think, for the better part of like 6 months, like kind of on and off. And I know that you had a couple of talks with customer success managers on other teams, which was really helpful. And I think that was the nudge that kind of, pushed us in this direction, or it gave us the confidence to at least try it. And we've been having customer calls now, I think, for the last 3 months, just maybe 2 to 3 months since the beginning of 2021. And in my opinion, it's been going really well so far.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll get more into what process we're following, what tools we're using. But I thought to start out, we would just cover, what is customer success? It's kind of a rising trend in teams, especially for online products. And, online products are unique in that you don't ever have these face-to-face communications with your customers. And, depending on your sales process, it could be completely hands-off. You could just, like us, we just have a contact form where we potentially get emails from people and chit-chat. But a lot of people just directly buy our product. So we really have no idea, to some extent, what are these people's sites? What are they building? What are their projects? What are their struggles? So customer success is the movement of companies to develop more loyalty in their customers, to look at things like retention and churn and refund rates, and developing a more personal relationship with the customers that buy their products. Just keeping a pulse on their experience over time. So how are they liking the product? What made them come join this product? Are they aware of new features that are coming out? Or, what kind of gaps can we fill when we have an actual conversation with the people buying our product, and just kind of help them activate it and use it more fully? So that's kind of a background on what customer success is. That's at least the approach that we're kind of taking with it. So now we're going to talk more about how our experience has been. And if you're a membership site looking to add a feature of a pre-sales call or an onboarding call, I hope some of these insights can be useful to you. So first, let's talk tools. Just kind of what is the baseline need that we are using to coordinate these calls and kind of log data about the relationships. So do you want to share some of that, Travis?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, I get a bunch of emails, and I won't go through the details of how we vet these emails. But basically what happens is when a customer purchases a Plus membership at PM Pro, I get an email, and then I physically reach out to them and actually offer them a call with me, a 20-minute call. Now, I was doing that very manually up until a couple of weeks ago, when we started implementing a WordPress CRM. So a CRM, for those of you who don't know, it's basically a customer relationship management platform. And I'm just going to close Siri over there, who's opening up, thinking I'm speaking to her.
She wants to join our podcast.
She wants to join in. She has an opinion. So I was just saying, like, a CRM is a platform that allows you to manage customer conversations. Their journey is a good way to look at it, like when they started, what communication they've had, who's spoken to them, etc. So in that CRM, that's where we handle all of that data. And in order to book and schedule calls according to a calendar, we use Calendly, which is a really nifty tool that you can set up your calendar and your meeting times, and it's something called events. And these events, you can put a time frame to them. You can put out of which days you want to take calls, and out of like which time frames you want to take it. So for example, if you want to start receiving calls only from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. kind of thing, then you can actually set that, which is really nifty. And then you get a link that you can actually send to customers and just, tell them, hey, click on this link, book a time that is right for you, and it will work out the time zones, which is very nifty.
Yeah.
Especially being an international technology-based business, we have customers from all over the world. And this allows you to balance all of that kind of admin on trying to figure out when we can actually meet up with each other. So it's very, very convenient.
So that's linked to your work email address. And I have noticed something that you do, and I actually did this too after I saw everyone has lots of email addresses. So if you have a time that doesn't actually work for you, but Calendly might think it will, you can just block that on your work calendar. I've seen you do that. I did it recently because I knew that I couldn't do calls between a 1 and a 4 p.m. with somebody. So I just put a block on my work email calendar. So I thought I'm sure you can do that in Calendly on a daily basis, but that's a shortcut way to just disallow people to sign up for calls in that window.
Yeah, I think if you have the premium version of Calendly, then you can actually sync multiple calendars. But for now, it's only got the one, and then that's the little way around that, where you can just block a slot that you don't want to book calls. So yeah, it's very nifty.
So we're using the free Calendly, and it's linked to our Gmail. We do have a premium Google for business, but if you had a personal Gmail account, that would also be free. So far there's zero onboarding costs for you as a company to start using these tools. Yeah. Those are really all the tools. And then after you do a call, you do some updates in that CRM as well.
That's right. So depending on how the call goes, and I mean, this is where we're still in the beginning stages of taking calls with customers, and there's a lot of interesting and fun things that you can do depending on who the customer is and where they're at in their journey with you. But based on the caller and the type of call I just had, I will definitely add some notes to the CRM and specifically under their user profile, so that in the future, if I have to do a follow-up call or if someone else needs to get some information, they can see that. And then I'll often send up a follow-up email. Sometimes I ask for a review. There was actually a gentleman today who actually asked, where can I review your product and service, etc. And so that would obviously call for a follow-up email in that way. So yeah, it can change a little bit, but generally, there's some sort of data capturing that goes on after a call, and I think possibly
eventually we might do more that is automated with that. The CRM we're using is called Groundhog. It has 2 G's at the end, but it's spelled like the word groundhog, the animal, with 2 G's. And it has lots of ways to trigger events to happen based on how you tag someone, or even you could directly when you're editing that certain contact in the CRM, you could trigger them into part of a funnel or an automation series right within WordPress in your WordPress admin. So Groundhog is also a free tool. It's available in the WordPress.org plugin, and they have some great options to upgrade and get more features that you might need when you're going to use it in a very robust way.
Nice. Definitely. And just to touch on funnels, which I think is pretty popular, it's something that we are still looking into. However, I do know from research that funnels are pretty important, because what this does is it allows you to automatically follow up with people over a certain period of time for some sort of objective or outcome. So if you're free, say if you have a product and you take a call with a non-member or a potential customer, then you can actually put them through a very specific funnel that will give them more information periodically and possibly even a discount code at the end, trying to convert them, etc. Again, customer success is not necessarily marketing in the sense of we're just trying to get more people signing up, but there is some sort of overlap, definitely. And the same is true for if you have, say, a call with an existing customer, you can put them through a funnel that will essentially give them reason to stay with you as a product purchaser. So you can really express your value and show and teach customers, because that's what I like to think of customer success. It's helping this customer to succeed with your product, because if they're succeeding with their product, with your product, then they are more likely to stay with you, develop a relationship, and that's obviously good for the long run of everybody.
Yep. Cool. All right. I'm going to move into kind of how are the calls going, because we had some, leading into this, we had some expectations and some fears. So I'm going to start out just asking you, what are people asking you when you get on these calls? What are their kind of, how do the calls go? What's the format? What are the questions?
The calls have been going really well, and it has sort of exceeded my expectations, because working in pre-sale email support previously, a couple of years ago, it's very often, or not very often, but you do come across people that are looking for features. So how does this work? And you're also sometimes dealing with people who are upset. They don't know how to get this to work, and they're a bit frustrated. They've poured maybe an hour into it trying to figure it out, and they're sort of at wit's end. So coming into calls, I think all of us, we were a little bit hesitant to do it, because we feared that we don't just want to, open up a stream where people could hop on a call and just sort of lash out at us kind of thing. But interestingly enough, that hasn't been the case. To date, I haven't had a bad call in the sense of someone who's been very angry or agitated. And even someone who seemed a little bit perturbed initially, that was a non-member. They ended up converting to becoming a Plus member with us, and they actually, I was able to diffuse the situation just because I was able to have a one-on-one conversation with the person and just kind of clear the air of the kind of questions that they had. So overall, it's been going really well. We get a lot of how does this work, and I just want to confirm that my idea can work with this kind of add-on, and elaborate in that way. But what's also been pretty interesting is that I found that a lot of people that are actually researching as to whether or not Paid Memberships Pro can actually work for their application are not the ones who are actually going to be implementing Paid Memberships Pro. So sometimes we have very non-technical kind of people viewing our site, rummaging through our information, looking at our add-ons, and or maybe in this particular use case that I'm thinking of, that one person was getting frustrated because there was so much information to go through, and they also didn't know exactly what they were looking for. And so hopping on a call, I could actually just hear their language, what they were more or less looking for. And it was like, okay, that's a membership directory. We absolutely have an add-on. Here it is. This is how it works, etc. And that was one of the people that I was speaking about that actually went from borderlining disgruntled, non-user to an actual paying premium customer, which was a great experience.
When I had talked to Michelle at GiveWP about her role in customer success, she said that, we're humans too. And she said that people she talks to are shocked to see that. And she wants to show them a little bit of her office and her home, and if her pet runs by or any of that stuff, because I think it's easy when you're buying things online to have a picture in your head of what the company looks like and the people there. But talking to someone, actually, that's a good question. Are you talking face-to-face with video at times, or are they audio only?
Both. It sort of depends on them. Sometimes if they turn their video off, then I might turn it off as well. Some people are more comfortable doing audio only, which I totally understand. And some people like to see interaction and actually see the person, that the voice is coming out of. So a bit of both, in that way.
Nice. Yeah, we have someone in support right now that keeps talking about the call that they had with you and mentioning how much Travis helped me. And I think they're trying to get you back. They're like, I just like the way Travis explained it. And when I talked to Travis, we think they're a really big fan of yours. So just so you know, we're going to keep you safe. however we can.
Thanks, Kim.
So talking about some of the negatives, you mentioned some initial ideas you had for what, angry people or that. What are some of the other like bad parts that you are experiencing or you expected to experience that aren't even an issue?
So the one thing that comes to mind has been I have experienced no-shows at times where, you book a call and then no one shows up. And this isn't really honestly a train smash. People's schedules change. Sometimes people will email you in advance, which is greatly appreciated. The one thing that is a bit of an inconvenience with that is that you're sort of geared to take a call. You've booked your time to do that. And if someone doesn't show, then, it could have been utilized somewhere else. You could have just used that time. Again, it isn't in the greater scheme of things a massive deal, but we are looking at ways that we can actually mitigate that a little bit. Again, we were speaking about Calendly, and I know that if you go the premium route, they do send reminders. However, that's not foolproof. I still believe that no-shows will happen with that. So we're going to do some personal follow-ups or pre-follow-ups, just reminders rather about meetings, and we're going to see how that goes moving forward.
Have you had any issues with language barriers speaking with people, or is it everyone goes into it expecting that you'll speak to them and it will be English, or how has that been?
That has been I would say 90% of the time that isn't an issue. Sometimes, I get the privilege to speak to people all over the world. So I've spoken to people in Mexico, Italy, in Netherlands, I believe, and I feel like Australia. Yeah, I've had even a couple of Australian calls, which is really interesting. Sometimes when English is not their native language, that can get a little bit interesting in the way that, I'm thinking of this one call where the person was a Spanish speaker, and but that wasn't necessarily the problem. It was that coupled with a little bit of internet issues. And so then you really had to listen to this person and really try and hear what they need and what they're trying to say. Often what would happen then is I would try take the conversation offline to email. I'd try follow up in email, and I'd use language like firstly, I'd apologize for the internet connection, just letting them know that there was a bit of a choppy connection there. So if I misunderstood anything, please, just correct me. And then you would use language over on email, like, from what I understood, you meant this. Was that right? And if so, here's the answer. And then I would try answer them so that you're not waiting for them to first clarify everything. You kind of hoping that you get it on the first try. But most of the times it hasn't been an issue.
That's good. And another thought I had going into this was that once we gave someone a pre-sales call or a call as part of their membership and onboarding, that they would demand that using our support system and ticketing, it wouldn't be enough anymore, that they would like that personal touch ongoing. Has that cropped up at all?
It hasn't, funny enough. So I think what I have noticed is people are very considerate of your time. So how I have Calendly set up is I have it that you can book a 20-minute meeting with me. And often I'm not really watching the clock unless there's a call booked right after. And people will often remind me like, oh, I see we only have 5 minutes or 2 minutes left. I'm going to go now. So thank you very much. So people don't demand necessarily like a follow-up call or what have you. Sometimes they would say, I would love to hop on one more call with you once I get going on my member directory, for example. If I've shown them how to set up the member directory and maybe we went into detail about using the short code and this is how you do the layout changes and this and that. Sometimes they would maybe follow up on email and ask if I can have another call. And if my schedule allows, then I will do that. And they are very pleasantly surprised if we can meet that need, and they don't expect it. They don't demand it as much. So they're very appreciative of that. Yeah.
Nice. So I want to move into the next segment, which is why would a membership site start allowing pre-sales calls? But do you feel like there's anything we didn't tackle in kind of how your experience has been going that you want to say? I know you had said to us, like, you love talking to people. So I hope it's kind of a fuel for you too, to kind of get this face-to-face. Remote work is isolated and, you know, it can be hard, but you're getting to like talk to the actual people building the sites. Their energy is hopefully transferring in some way to you.
That's actually a really good point. And it's something that I've noticed time and time again. So I take my calls at the moment from about 2 p.m. onwards. And the reason for that is because most of our customers are stateside. Mm-hmm. And that's more or less morning time-ish for the eastern side at least. And what I find is like, so when it's afternoon time, you know, I've already worked in the morning and there's a little bit of an energy lull, and you could even have calls lined up and you like feel a little bit as if like, man, I don't know if I have energy to actually take calls with people and, you know, be a good customer relation person right now. And what's funny is like, as soon as the calls start, there's just the energy that I get from people. So I don't know if that is unique to me, just being a bit of a more of a people person, but I feel like a lot of founders or people working in the tech industry will cringe at the thought of speaking to a customer. And then actually when they do it, they might feel pleasantly surprised that it wasn't as bad as what they thought it would be. And there was actually a lot of benefits to doing that. I mean, some of the side kind of benefits that I'm seeing is I'm learning about our customer, which is very important. I'm learning about our product from these fresh perspective customers. You know, we've seen Paid Memberships Pro in and out for years now, and it's very easy to glaze over certain details which might be important, and these customers bring a fresh perspective. For example, I have often been asked about the member directory, and that is a feature that we know is popular, but it's interesting to just kind of like get that reaffirmed that people are using this, people are asking about it, and things like adding custom fields, which is something we are working on. So just to get, you can reap a lot of data and even sort of reaffirm or confirm your gut feel about certain things by speaking to customers.
I think a lot of membership sites have an idea of what their most appealing features might be, and it could be completely off base when you actually look at the analytics of it or talk to the customers using your products. You could put out a course about a new topic. You're like, this is going to be so interesting. But if you had spoken to people and gotten more insight into what courses they were really looking for, you would have built a better course, a more appropriate and fitting course for them in the long run. So that's a really good point to make. Nice. So yeah, that leads us into why would a membership site want to start taking pre-sales calls? When does it make sense to do it? How much time would you devote to it? Kind of like how to even ramp up. So I have some thoughts on this, specifically related to the price of your product and how your sales funnel works currently. So I think maybe the higher the price, the more important a pre-sales call might be. And also maybe if you have a really high refund rate or a high rate of churn, I could see a value in starting to do these calls. So just numbers wise, those are two kind of intro metrics to look at if you're thinking about starting doing calls. Do you have some to add, Travis, about what you think makes this a good fit?
I think, you know, through this experience, and I don't run a membership site myself personally, but if I was going to start one tomorrow, I would probably start taking calls right off the bat. And the reason would probably be for to try and gain that word of mouth from people. Because especially in the very beginnings, I mean, it's such a competitive space. Developing courses and membership sites are becoming more and more popular. And, you know, way in the beginning, you might just have one member or one or two, but those members can possibly stem to their network. And, that can actually, I think it's a bit of a gut feel here. I haven't got any metrics to prove it, but I feel like you can get a lot of data up front that we were speaking about. For example, just to hear about, okay, I developed this course, how to make a YouTube video perhaps, and my one or two members, they booked a call with me and they told me that they didn't enjoy it. They felt like it was too expensive. That's valuable data early on, because often, especially when we are purchasing things online and things of that nature, it's very quick and easy to purchase products, but it's also very quick and easy. Or let me put it like this way. It's quick and easy to purchase the product without necessarily dealing with the person. But on the flip side, it's also really easy to ask for a refund or cancel your membership without dealing with a person either. And then it leaves this kind of gaping hole of like, what actually happened there? What was that person thinking? So as much as it's valuable for the high-end products that are making a lot of, or memberships that are making a lot of money and that are well established, I think there's also value starting small, with customer success.
Excellent. Yeah. I think also looking at how people are contacting you for pre-sales information. A 20-minute phone call is a lot faster than looking at someone who sent you kind of 10 questions about your product and you have to kind of type and address each one. So I think if you're getting a lot of, people are reaching out with lots of questions and they don't really have a deep understanding, 15 minutes on a phone call can explain a lot in a much faster way than you trying to craft all of these emails to write back in these responses. That's kind of a metric too I would look at. Yeah, the whole getting more information from the customers early on. I think no matter what the price, once they buy from you, I mean, not that many people are taking you up on it. We get, 9 to 12 new plus people per day. What percentage of them are actually engaging in that initial call after they've purchased?
So I would say between 2 and 3 callers come in for every 10 reach out. Okay. So about 20-30%, which is, it's fair.
I think that's higher than I would guess. So even if you offer a call as part of an onboarding process for your membership product, you're not going to see 100% of people take you up on that call. So it's kind of like a no harm to try it. And then if you reverse that decision, you can do so later. We're not advertising this on our site, so maybe that's something to consider if you're actually just dipping your toes in whether or not a customer success pre-sales or post-sale hello call is worth it. Just start doing them ad hoc. You don't have to develop a robust strategy around it and lots of media on your site to support it. You can just email somebody, or you can just reply to their contact form and say like, hey, like we do calls sometimes. What do you think? Would this interest you? I think we could tackle this more deeply. I could answer any follow-up questions you have in real time. And the same with onboarding. You could include it in your membership confirmation email, or you could pre-select a few people to send it to if you're worried about volume. You got 10 checkouts that day. Pick 5 people randomly who you think you want to talk to, and then just follow up to them directly 2 days later. Like, you signed up 2 days ago. How's it going? Here's a link, schedule a call if you're interested. I want to make sure that we're providing the right tools for you and you have access and knowledge about the breadth of things we offer. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
It was a really good chat. We were trying to stick at the 30 minutes. I think we did well.
Yeah, I think we just under 30 minutes and it went well. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to wrap all this up into a blog post, kind of hit on the features that we're using tools-wise, kind of the debunking some of the fears you may have in starting a customer success for your own products. And then we'll just talk about what are the best fits. If you're going to start doing them, what are the membership sites that are going to see success in doing it? So yeah, thank you all for joining us.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Bye.